Social Media University. All right, so today I am talking social media with Vicky from Vivid Vision. How are you doing today, Vicky?
Hi, thanks so much for having me on here today. I'm so excited to chat with you.
Yeah, likewise. I've kept running into you room after room on Clubhouse, and you kept dropping a bunch of awesome knowledge nuggets, and your following is crazy all over the place. So I'm very excited to share your knowledge with my audience. So let's actually start there. What are your thoughts on Clubhouse at the given point? Do you like it?
It is super addictive. It's
Yes.
crazy. Never been that hooked on a social media platform before. I think it's because you get to really connect one on one
Mhm.
with someone like authentically. So I think that's why there's a huge draw there.
Yeah, I could not agree more. It's so addictive, and once you get in there a little bit, it's very difficult to leave. So I have a very similar opinion there. So for anybody who may be coming across you and your content for the very first time, could you give us the intro to how you got into the world of social media and your path to this point?
Sure. So, just a little background information about myself. I am a cosplay model, been doing it for 20 years and professionally for 8 years now. And it first started off as me doing like a hobby and making costumes in my house and then attending these anime events and local event gatherings with other people who dress up and dressing up for Halloween. And then I eventually realized that they have these conventions all around the world and I started traveling to different events. Somehow, my following started to grow. I think people wanted to follow me because they saw me at an event with a costume, and eventually it just exponentially grew. And I started looking at it as like I can actually do this as a business because people actually like my content.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. And your content is awesome, and the whole cosplay community is so cool. And obviously, you know it very very well, and have built that into a whole sort of business for yourself. Can you speak to that process? Like, what was the transition like? Where you said you had that light bulb moment where you're like, I can really do this for myself. What was that whole process like?
My light bulb moment was one day one of my followers messaged me and asked, "Can I purchase a photo of you in a cosplay in the poster form?" I'm
Cool.
like, "Wait a second, you can make money out of a hobby?" And back then when you go to Comic Cons and you got these Hollywood celebrities that sell like pictures of themselves and they autograph it. Basically, that's what he's asking for, a picture of myself and autographing it and mailing it to him. Like, yo, this could turn into a business. And I was so stoked. And my mindset completely changed from a hobbyist to start pushing this forward as a business.
Amazing. So that's a huge mindset shift that I think anybody needs to have on social media. So that's awesome that was it for you. So once you saw that this was a business, how did that impact your content creation or approach to content?
I actually started ramping up a lot of my content creation because back then, when I was doing as a hobbyist, I would post whenever I want. There was no set schedule, there was no strategy, there was no plan. But with my post, there was a bit more intention behind it. But of course, for any other artists out there, a lot of us are quite spontaneous because we're artists. When you get the artist feel, you just want to, do it and jump on it right away. So I'm trying to convert that side into a more business aspect, but because I'm an artist, it's sometimes really hard. But I'm definitely a lot more organized and strategic in the type of content I'm posting, what time to post it at, the engagement, and all the metrics behind it so that I can help grow my business.
Amazing. So when you say business, can you explain all the facets that go into it? Because I'm always amazed at how many ways people get creative with turning their brand and social media into a business. So I'd love to hear more about yours.
Okay, so for a model, there's different ways you can, I guess, generate income from social media. So what I usually do is, because I started building my following and I guess getting like kind of like a star or celebrity status online,
Mhm.
conventions would start looking out and saying, "Hey, what kind of guests do you want to be invited to a specific convention?" People would start recommending, saying, "Oh, Vivid Vision, I want to see her. Her cosplays are amazing on Instagram." So then I started getting invited out to these conventions as a guest. They would pay for like the flights, the hotels, and then there's an appearance fee, and I also get to keep whatever profit I make from selling my autographs and pictures with the fans that come to see me. So that's how it kind of started off. And of course, there's the online aspect of it where you can purchase photos like the poster prints and you can autograph it for them and mail those out. And also, you can now, because we're in a digital age, you can sell digital sets to them and also do like photo books and calendars.
That's so cool. That's amazing. That's so awesome how it like there's just so many facets to it. So I think
Yes.
a lot of people are like you. They're super passionate about whether it be cosplay or something else, but they don't know how to start. So how did you start the whole wheel in motion to eventually get to where you are today?
I think the one thing that really changed was definitely my mindset. When I first started doing cosplay, there's this, I think it was a personal limiting belief I instilled in myself where I don't want to be labeled as a model because as a model, I feel people would see me as superficial and she's so full of herself. And I had to really overcome that mindset and transition to, hey, you know what? This is what I love doing. There's nothing wrong with it. People want to showcase their talent and what they're passionate about. Just go with it. And when I kind of changed that mentality that say, hey, I am a model and I'm proud of it, that's when I started opening a lot more opportunities because my confidence went up and I was more willing to take, I guess, risks and to try different things to boost my branding.
It's crazy what a slight mindset shift can really do
Yes.
for everything. And I love that you positioned it just like that because once you embrace yourself as that thing, and for me, I work with people on social media. So whether it's embracing that they're an entrepreneur or they're a YouTuber or whatever it may be, it changes everything because you believe in yourself 10 times more. But also, people want to help people when they're direct in terms of what they actually want. So when you become certain in that, it becomes just so much easier to attract good things. So that's amazing. I love that you shared that. Was there anything that you can attribute as to like to why that shift took place or how it took place?
I think it was to the point I was going to conventions as a hobbyist for, I think, almost 10 years. And I started seeing some of my peers around me saying they want to take this professionally. And it started to make me question because they're so confident about what they're doing. They're not ashamed of their body, they're not ashamed of their self image, and they're just passionate about what they do. I'm like, I'm passionate about what I'm doing, but what's the difference? It's because they fully embraced and truly believed in what they're doing, and they're not ashamed to share, hey, I am this person. This is what I'm doing. So it really got me thinking about that as I started to get more exposure to people in the community that wanted to take this more seriously and more professionally.
Amazing, amazing. Okay, so we got to talk about your social presence now because you're everywhere and you're killing it everywhere. So I'd love to like let's start with Instagram. What was your path like on Instagram to build the following that you have now?
I kept with posting quite often, and I did a lot of trial and error because even though, say, an influencer starts off saying, I want to do this niche,
Mhm.
but it's not that simple. It's hard to already figure out what niche you want to do. But once you figure out the niche you want to do, you start trialing error and saying, I'm going to post these types of contents, but you never know what is going to work. So until you figure out you posting five contents and maybe one did the best out of the five style, you do more of that. And then you do less of what didn't work. And you keep tweaking and adding what's good and take away what's not so that you build that really solid branding. It's a lot of trial and error. And what I tell people, even though you know your niche, it's actually your fans that kind of help you cater and refine your niche even further because they give you the feedback of what they want to see and what they really love seeing of you doing.
That was an amazing answer to a pretty broad question. So kudos to you. That was absolutely awesome. So when did you start on Instagram?
Oh gosh, I think I started probably 2011 or 12.
Okay, so you've been
So
on the
it's been
platform for
10
a
years.
while.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
And so how have you seen it change? Because I think a lot of people they complain about where it is currently. So I'd love to hear your perspective being in the game for as long as you have.
Definitely when you first started social media on Instagram, it was such a huge frontier and it was basically whatever you posted, it was fair game. There wasn't very much competition, so people grew rapidly really fast. But as the company Instagram started to mature and get more content and influencers on there, they started to tighten up their reach on a lot of the posts because as a company matures, they have to really focus their direction of how they can monetize their own branding. I know a lot of people and influencers in my area are not happy with how the reach has drastically dropped But I'm not happy to. But really, if you don't pivot and change and grow with the platform, you're going to eventually die. And right now, Instagram is really more focusing on the shopping experience for the user. They really want to focus on generating income, which makes sense for any company if you're looking from a business perspective. So I understand where they're going. So as an influencer, you have to find creative ways that you can continue to grow and monetize with the direction and the strategic I guess mission that the Instagram is trying to go forward to.
100%. I always preach that too. It's really important it's really important to understand what the platform cares about so that you can do the right things so that they help you out more. And you said that it's important to get creative to incorporate these things. Can you talk to some of the ways that you're currently doing that?
Right now, some tips I would give is definitely jump on anything that in any new social media platform is trying to push, whether it's Instagram, they're pushing their reels right now, YouTube and their shorts, and because no social media platform want a new feature to fail, right? So they're gonna really loosen up all the restrictions so that people would actually start adapting or start adopting that new feature into their daily process and part of their social media posting strategy. So I've been doing a lot more video content, and that seems to be like the future direction of a lot of social media platforms. And short form video is really important because all these social media platforms are really pushing for that. So I would focus on creating some of these short form videos, and it's definitely you can use it and recycle it. It's evergreen. You do like one 15-second clip video to post on your Instagram reels. You can use it for Instagram stories and YouTube shorts, Twitter fleets. There's no hard no that you can't recycle it, right?
100%. Yeah, and I think this big push to short form vertical content came from TikTok's emergence to the huge platforms. And you built a massive audience there very, very quickly. So can you speak to what that experience was like, the growing on TikTok so quickly and your thoughts on TikTok right now?
I think anyone that starts on TikTok will start doing those dances and the funny trends. I started off with that because I was trying to familiarize myself with the social media culture on TikTok. But eventually, when you watch more TikTok and you see what you like doing, what you don't, you start building your own, I guess, flavor to your profile. I think the best type of content on TikTok is always original content. Even if you're I guess copying someone else's content, add your own flavor to it so people know that it's unique to your branding and not just the same thing that a million other people are doing because it's a specific trend, right? So what I started doing was because I'm more cosplay focused, I realized that storytelling was really, really popular on TikTok, and not just TikTok, even with YouTube. People love finding out what's going to happen next. They love listening to stories and kind of feeling in the moment when you describe things. So I decided to do storytelling of my costumes, how I built the costume, showing like the B-rolls of me sewing, cutting out fabric, things like that, and then showing clips of during the photo shoot and then the finished photo product at the end. And people really loved seeing the whole, like from start to finish.
Amazing.
So
Yeah.
I think that's how my TikTok grew.
That's huge. Two things I really love that you mentioned there. The one was the fact that trends are very important on TikTok, but how you amplify the trend that you're doing is by making it unique to you so that people aren't just following the trend, that they're following because of you doing the trend essentially. And then another piece you mentioned there was storytelling. That is one of the hardest things to do, especially on a platform like TikTok where it's under such tight time constraints. Could you give some tips for like micro storytelling?
Okay, so when I first started doing storytelling, I wanted my stories because before the storytelling videos came up, I did videos that were always less than 15 seconds. That seemed to be like the good, like between 7 to 15 seconds was like the good time frame for videos to go viral, right? But then you cannot tell a story within 15 seconds. That's
No.
difficult. So I learned how to cut things out so fast, like really short, crisp sentences to the point. And I would always try to make it less than 30 seconds ish. So I got double the time. And because my content is very cosplay and visual, I made sure that I did like 1.5 second to 2 seconds per clip, and I would flip and I would flip and then I would flip to a lot of different B rolls, and I would have me in a green screen standing in the corner of the video the whole time talking about the story, and behind me would be all these clips, whether it be photos or videos of what I'm doing. I know people on TikTok have really short attention spans, so you have to keep constantly moving the video footages so that people would stay entertained, which
Amazing.
takes a lot of time to do. So
Yeah, no kidding. But it's one of those things where if you don't do it, it's not going to get the impact that you want. So I love that you shared that point of just making it very punchy and then progressing the narrative in a quick way, because if you don't, you'll just lose people.
exactly, yeah. And what I think is a really good tip is I always had a hook at my beginning of my story saying, that one time I rented an entire skating rink for a photo shoot. They're like, what did you do that for? So then they would watch the whole video and see what happened in there. So having the first initial sentence that it could be a question or like a statement saying, this is what this video is going to be about. So they won't drop off because they weren't expecting what they were going to see, right?
Of course, you got to create that intrigue almost instantly. Otherwise, people aren't going to give you the extra few seconds. So you're exactly like you said, you're buying the time with the hook. So if you don't have that, you may not even get the chance to tell the story. So that's a huge point.
Right.
Definitely got to nail down the hook. So while you were sharing all those knowledge nuggets, you mentioned like how you have a unique process to content creation. And when we were speaking before we started recording, you said that's one of the things that you do the best. So I'd love to hear some of your content creation and formation tips, if you will.
For video, if you're talking about TikTok, I would probably, because I make so many costumes, I would pick a costume that I want to talk about and see if I have enough B-roll to fill the story for it. If I don't, then I move on to a different costume because sometimes I don't film everything and take enough photos for specific costumes. So when I'm doing that, once I pick the costume and find that I have enough B-roll for it, then I start formalizing the story for it, trying to keep it under 30 seconds and figuring out what the good hook for it is. So from like a YouTube perspective, when I come up with new ideas for a video, I would try to figure out if I can have a matching thumbnail to go with it first. Because if you don't have a thumbnail that would be attractive enough, then you lost the battle because you can have the best video in the world, but if your thumbnail doesn't get the viewer to click on it, they will never see your video. So I think having the brainstorming strategy of working on your thumbnail to make it, I guess, appealing and attractive is as important as the video content itself for YouTube.
100%. I could not agree with that more. And I think it was Mr. Beast that said this, like he starts with the thumbnail and then makes the video for the thumbnail. And it's crazy. And that speaks to the true importance of it, because people always say this, they say watch time is the most important thing on YouTube. And that may be true, but if people don't click, the watch time can't happen. So that's the first thing you have to get right for everything else to then come to be.
Exactly. I totally agree with that. But it's easier said than done. Style of video, I'm traveling to anime conventions and whatnot. I can't really figure out a thumbnail beforehand because when you're vlogging, sometimes it's so you sometimes you got to work the other way around and try to pull a picture that works for the thumbnail, which isn't ideal.
So when it's after the fact, like you've just mentioned that scenario, what kind of process do you go through to try to get the best product for that thumbnail?
I try to add in something that has, because my branding is my image, like my face and my costume. I try to add in a picture with me in it, whether if it's like a beautiful costume, then I would have a cosplay photo of me, or if it's like a travel vlog or something, I would have like a shocking image, like, oh, like really good expressions of something. And you don't necessarily need to have text in there. I think the simpler the thumbnail, the better. When the thumbnail attracts the viewer, they would eventually look at the title with it, right?
Yes.
And you have to have a really good title to go with your thumbnail.
100%. Yeah. Love that. Love that. So in the intro, I teased that we had been in a lot of the same clubhouse rooms, and a lot of times we're in like social media related clubhouse rooms. So I would love for you to share anything any trends that you maybe have found from being in these rooms, or any specific knowledge nuggets. Is there anything that jumps to your mind that may help the people listening to this?
I think what if you're in Clubhouse right now, um, and you have some sort of service or a service-based, I guess, service-based branding. I think Clubhouse is the best platform for people to build on right now because you can really engage with your ideal clients. Clubhouse has basically filtered out their own people. People only invite people into Clubhouse if they are motivated to do and to learn. So by giving value on Clubhouse, people would eventually click on your profile and be like, oh, I really like what this guy's saying. They would click on your profile and it's a natural funnel to go into your services and products. So that's what I got out of Clubhouse. And I think it's insane the amount of time people are putting into Clubhouse to start these rooms and to give value and all the insane free value people are giving. And I've definitely connected with a lot of people. I've even purchased things from people because I really believed in what they're saying. It's so authentic and raw. It's not scripted. It's not fake. So I think with any other platforms, for some reason, Clubhouse is able to demonstrate the real side of people versus say Instagram because you can see how all these amazing Instagrammers have the perfect life, but that's not really the real them. So
Yes, absolutely. It's almost like forced authenticity because you can't maintain an image when you're speaking in real time and you have to take the punches on the fly or and roll with the conversation. So I love that you mentioned that. I think it's a great place for people to be and to either to learn or to grow their brand. But like we said in the beginning, it is very potentially addictive. So ensure that you're coming in with a game plan. Otherwise, you'll get lost in there for an entire day. So we've spoken about a few different topics here, and you've provided so much value. I would love to hear what are your plans, what are your future plans and goals for your content and your brand?
since I've been in the cosplay modeling industry for so many years, I kind of want to start pivoting my branding to more of the educational and inspirational piece. I know throughout my journey, whenever I post some content, sometimes people would send me messages or comment in my post saying that, wow, that really inspired me with what you're doing. That's crazy. I'm like, oh, you put a smile on my face. I had a really bad day today, but seeing your content just makes me really happy. And, that just kind of hits the heart right there because people are appreciating and I'm affecting them in a positive way. I think I'm kind of at that stage in life. I really want to amplify the value I'm giving to people. And that's why I'm kind of leaning more towards the direction of the education piece, and which is why I started my podcast with bringing on other social media creators to share and celebrate their success and to inspire people that hey, these people are just like you and me when we first started. They just had the discipline and the motivation and passion to push forward to become successful like who they are today.
Amazing. I definitely want to see more of that content moving forward. That's exciting for myself to watch and listen and for you to grow that brand and share with more people. Because I think that's very aligned with why I do everything is because if you can help if you can help someone do something that they really want to do, it's really, really an amazing feeling. So that's awesome that you're going to help more people with that. So you mentioned your podcast. So what is the name of your show and where else can people find you on social media?
The name of my podcast is called Vivid Talks, and you can find it on podcast.vivid-vision.org.
Yep.
And you can, if you search it up on any of the podcast apps like Spotify or Apple, you can find my podcast on there too.
Amazing. And so what are your handles on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok, etc.?
For Instagram, it's vivid_vision. For TikTok, it's Vivid Vision. For Twitter, it's Vivid Vision 22. And YouTube, you just look up Vivid Vision. Yeah.
Awesome.
So
Awesome.
it's all there, yeah.
Perfect. So anybody who wants to check those out, and I strongly recommend that you do, everything will be linked in the description box of this episode, either on YouTube or in your favorite podcast app. So the next piece that I have for you is what are some trends in social media at large that you think too few people are seeing?
Trends. I definitely feel that podcasts are really undervalued right now. You can consider the amount of people who are pushing on YouTube, Instagram, and whatnot. The Instagram is really saturated at the moment. YouTube is saturated, but there's still room to grow. But podcast is so much opportunities, and I feel like people don't really tap into doing a podcast. I don't know if it's because of the tech barrier to have to get all the equipment to set everything up, whereas like Instagram is just like taking a photo, it's a lot easier. But I feel podcasts for building audience is the most engaged audience that you can really get, minus Clubhouse, because Clubhouse you're really talking with them one on one.
Yeah.
But podcasts, you have such a really loyal following that people would just come and listen to your podcast, and you have a higher chance of being able to provide extra value with your services or products to them. So that's why I started a podcast. It's also aligns with my education vision. I feel people who have something they want to share or any value they want to give back to the community definitely start a podcast. I think that's the way to go for social media.
Yeah, and I agree with that completely. I think podcasting is slept on by a lot of people because I think it got really hot in the mainstream. Like people were like, everyone was starting a podcast, and then a lot of people didn't grow. So then so many people just said, "Oh, it's too late. The opportunity is gone." And I don't agree with that whatsoever. I still think there's a massive opportunity with podcasting. But whenever someone starts a show, the next thing they want is to grow it. So what are you doing to help grow your listener base?
Well, I heard for someone that 95% of the people that want to start a podcast don't. And from the 5% that actually do, majority of them don't get past episode 7.
Yep.
So I'm beyond that. So I'm like, oh, I'm safe.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I think is basically being authentic and being able to collaborate with people so that you guys can leverage each other's audience base, because there's a reason why you're connected. There's some value you can share with each other, which your audience can benefit from. So I feel it's really important to be able to collaborate with a lot of people. I know some people do like solo podcasts where they don't interview people, but if you're doing that, definitely focus on consistency as well. If people expect you to post once a week, once a day, I don't know if people post that often, but I do once a week. I think that those are the good starting tips for podcasters.
Amazing. Love it. I love it. So you 100% crushed this episode. So everybody listening, go follow Vicky, go follow all of her handles, everything. They're all linked in the description box in the show notes. So those were all the questions that I had for you. I'd love to have you on again down the road when you have more time. Is there anything that we forgot to touch today that you would like to address right now?
I think I'm just really thankful for this opportunity. Even though I do a lot of podcasts, I'm not very good at speaking.
You did amazing.
So I'm happy. This is the good practice for me too, just to learn how to express my knowledge to people.
Yeah, no. Hey, well, I think you're being too hard on yourself because you did awesome here. I know everybody listening to this took a ton of value. So thank you so much for your time. I can't wait to see how you continue to grow and how you continue to help more people. So thank you so much for helping everyone who is listening or watching this today.
Thank you for having me.
Awesome. Thank you so much.